Peace to the gods, peace to the gods. Yusufel here on a Sunday afternoon. Let everybody get in. It's coming with my Sunday message for everybody. Been doing me some reading this weekend. One of my favorite subjects, reading. What's up, what's up, what's up? All my Instagram people out there. Peace more. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom aleika. Rahubat. Peace, peace, peace. Peace and blessings. Peace to the gods. How's everybody doing this weekend? I want to talk about some things today. I want to talk about wealth and prosperity. It's my favorite topic, get into the money, because that's what everybody, needs to, kind of get an understanding of. Get into the money. I'm going to talk about credit again today, business credit, personal credit, and investing and trust. Talk about that primarily. What's going on? As you know, Monday through Friday, I have a class. Make sure you like this, share it. We have classes. I'm breaking the classes down now on SBC University. I'm going to have a beginner's class on Monday. May I make it Tuesday? I think I'll make it Tuesday. Beginner's class on Tuesday. And I'm going to have a trust class. I think it's probably going to be Wednesday or Thursday, one of the two. But I'm going to start teaching, having a day dedicated to trust, talking about trust on SBC University. Because I think it's a subject that we really need to get into now. And also, wealth creation. Wealth creation. A lot of y'all come and y'all listen to me because I talk a lot about secure party, discharging debt. You may have a criminal case that you're dealing with, the true nature of the court system, privatizing your life, which is basically what it all amounts to. But one of the things is that I think people have to realize is that they need to, you need to be generating some sort of commercial energy for yourself. I think people have this misconception about money, and I don't look at money the same way that a lot of people do. I look at money as energy. I look at money from the standpoint of an individual's ability to attract into his life what he needs. And a lot of people can talk the talk and everything, but then when you look into their life and it's not, they're not manifesting anything. And they can be very, very knowledgeable individuals, but something is preventing them from manifesting things into their life. And so I'm going to talk about that first and foremost, because it doesn't make sense to have a trust and you really don't have any wealth to put in it. You probably wouldn't be concerned about discharging debt if you had a couple of $1 million, unless you're discharging a real big debt. But, a lot of you probably wouldn't even be led to this channel if you had a certain mindset. And that mindset is a wealth mentality, a prosperous mindset, an abundant mindset. And everything in my life, I can honestly tell you that I've attributed to my mindset in understanding, taking certain steps to eliminate first and foremost all negativity outside of my life. Just eliminate it. Just got all negativity out of my life, all negative individuals out of my life who are pulling me down, individuals who say, you think about money and everything, they talk like that, and it's like, you have to, how are you going to survive if you don't have any sort of medium of exchange to interact with other individuals on this planet with? The money has been on this planet since recorded history. It's been, even the Egyptians had gold. I like my horror shirt. Got my horror shirt. I like this. This is my horror shirt. Anyway, that was the original eagle that they put on the money. But the first and foremost, the first thing I want to talk about, because I get a lot of people contact me, I want to address the how. The how. Okay, everybody likes to talk about, well, how am I going to do this? Or how am I going to do that? Okay, here's what you have to understand first and foremost. The how does not matter. How you're going to do something does not matter. If you really want me to be honest, no one who achieves any amount of success can really tell you that prior to, they knew exactly how they were going to do it. All right, how they were going to do it, because nobody can, really determine the future, or see the future like that, unless you're clairvoyant or something like that. But that still is not a prerequisite to success. Because a lot of people out there are clairvoyant who don't have any money. But the how does not matter. Let's just get it. And I think that's what I'm going to title this video. The how does not matter. It's the what we are concerned with. What do you want? That has to be the first question that you're going to answer for yourself. Even if you're going to come in and be a part of Secure Party or anything like that, I get questions all the time. It's like, well, I need this and I need that. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? And, this is not a cookie cutter type of process. You have some people, they may have a allodial title to their property. A lot of people talk like that, and they may want to go out and get some land and build a compound for themselves and remove themselves from off the grid. And then you got other individuals who may not have the resources to accomplish that, and they may have a job that they're at or something like that. So you see, people are, at different levels in this thing. So the first thing that you have to ask yourself is, what is it that you want? What do you want? And when you're able to answer this question, what's going on in the world really doesn't matter too much. Because once you realize that you are the god or goddess of your world, you are the center of your universe, and that the world is, I like this, I think it's a Hindu term, it's called Maya. It's called Maya. And the word Maya means illusion. And it talks about the illusory nature of reality. And the reason that they call reality an illusion is because it's constantly changing. So anything that is constantly in a state of flux or constantly changing can't be real. And it also means that since it's in a constant, things are always changing, all you have to do to make sure that the changes go your way, the way that you want, that are agreeable to you, is take command of your thinking. Because the universe is malleable, and what molds it is thought. Once you understand that, and you have to train yourself with this. So the first step is that you have to know what you want. You have to be able to identify what you want. You have to write that down first. What do you want? And believe it or not, that's not a very easy question to answer, because when some people sit down and really ponder it, they give you vague answers. I just want to be happy. I want to be married. I want a new house, and things like that. But you got to get down and you got to really start looking at what do you want? What do you want? Yeah, I got a couple of bookshelves like this. This is not the only one I got. I got a couple of them. My next home, I'm dedicating our entire space just for a library. Entire room, just a library. But what do you want? What do you want? Even in your Bible, it says, ask and you shall be received. Because if you don't know what you want, then you can't marshal the forces of nature to do your bidding, because it doesn't know what to go and get. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what do you want? And I would suggest that you dream big, because there's another saying that big dreams kill small problems. I think that it's something like that. But what it really means is that when you have a very, very big ideal, the universe, when it's pushing you toward that ideal, and it's big, like millions of dollars, then naturally a byproduct of that is all your financial concerns are going to eliminate. They're going to evaporate. So the first thing that you need to do is you got to know what you want. And I'm going to suggest that you make it big. You know, one of the number one things that a lot of individuals who utilize the process of a law of attraction, one of their biggest regrets is at the beginning they did not dream big enough. They did not dream big enough. And you know, that comes in, what is big to you, because what's big to you today won't be big to you tomorrow. $10 million might sound a lot to you today, but tomorrow won't sound like anything, once you get on that level, and then you surround yourself with individuals who are on that level. You're going to see that, hey, they all trying to get to the $100 million level or $1 billion level or something like that. So there's no problem in dreaming big. Now, if you're one of those individuals out there who have a problem with money, I just posted Robert Kiyosaki. I came across, I was watching him in an interview because I'm trying to see, okay, where do you put your money? You're going to put your money in gold, silver, Bitcoin, or something like that, what's coming on the horizon. And, it's just my personal opinion that anything is dealing with the stock market is gambling. And that's what happened in 1920s. Prior to 1933, they did all this stuff to get people to come into the stock market and then crash the markets. And so you got to be very, very careful about the stock market and know what you're doing. Know what you're doing when you're dealing with stocks. But, gold and silver, jewelry, as you can see, but jewelry, I'm not, I don't know if I'm going to be a too big fan of investing in jewelry because of markup on it, unless you can do some sort of real good connect on a wholesaler or something like that. But I was looking at his show, where to put some money. And then he started talking, and one of the last questions they asked him in the interview was people who have negative mindsets about money. And, I have friends like that. It's like, and they always misquote the Bible. Money is the root of all evil. And that's not what it says. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And it doesn't necessarily mean loving money is evil. It's just that when you find people doing evil, a lot of times the root of it is something monetary in nature. But I've met a lot of wealthy people, and none of them that I've met so far are evil people. They're very pleasant people. They're very positive people, very giving, very generous, very helpful, in a lot of different ways. So, that's one of the things that you're going to have to eliminate out of your mindset, is thinking that people with money are negative. They have to get you. They have to, trick you. They have to get over on you and things of that nature. You have a lot of negative individuals. Oh, you just have to X, Y, and Z. And they spend a lot of time worrying about what other grown people are doing and spending with their money, which is, to me, very childish and feminine. What you should be doing as a man is you should have your total focus on your goals and what it is that you're trying to achieve, and not worry about the next man's business. Because if you're not handling your business, then your business is going to handle you. But back to the subject at hand, you need to be focused on money, getting money or getting some sort of resources, and you need to be able to identify what it is that you have in your mind's eye. One exercise that I like to tell people to do is plan your life. Write out 100 things you want to do in life, and then break them down to 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, and then the next year. Just 100 things that you want to do in life. And then as you go through it, they call it a bucket list. But break it down into years, long-term goals, mid-range goals, and short-term goals. But map out your life on what you want to do, man. And you'll be amazed at the magic that occurs once you actually start putting things in writing. Because when you write something down, that's the first step in manifestation, because it's coming from the mental down through the spiritual into the physical realm. And you start by giving something a name. Everything in creation has a name. Everything in creation has a vibratory frequency. So understand that everything is about mental vibrations slowing down and manifesting on the physical plane. One illustration of that is water. Water is a good illustration. It goes through all the states, solid, liquid, and gas. It starts out in a gaseous state. Once it's at a fast vibration, and as it slows down, it comes into water, condensates into water, and then as the vibration slows even further, it'll turn into ice. And that is what's happening with the mental vibration. As it slows down and comes into the physical plane, it takes on the form of manifestation. If you are able to hold that vision in your mind's eye for an extended length of time. And that is why you also see a lot of individuals, they talk about, write it down everywhere where you can see it, put it on a mirror where you can see it every day. I remember the first time I got a new car, and I was a teenager, and I did it. I didn't know any of this, but I just drew a picture of an automobile I wanted, and I put it on my monitor at work. It was right there on my computer screen, and I saw it every day. I saw it so much that it was just, that picture stayed on my computer screen so long that it just became like a part of my computer screen. And within 6 months' time, I got the automobile. And it always comes in a way that you least expect. So it doesn't have anything to do with money. So that's another thing. You got to stop thinking that to obtain some things, material items, that the only way to get it is through money or you having money. It may be given to you. You might find it, whatever. You don't know. The universe is going to present it to you in the most perfect way that doesn't harm anyone else, or that can benefit the greatest number of people. And that's sometimes a smart way of asking for things too. Like, how can, me asking for this benefit the greatest amount of people? But you have to be able to identify what you want. You can't worry about how you're going to get it. It doesn't matter. The how doesn't matter, because you're not wise enough, or you don't possess infinite wisdom to understand everything that needs to go into how you're going to achieve something. It's the law of allowance. You allow it to happen, the universe will bring it to you in the most perfect way. This is why you don't worry about how you're going to do something. It's just the what. What do you want? And I always tell people this, even before, they want to get consultations with me. They want to talk about trust. Hell, you even want to get in jail. If you're watching this and you're in jail, let me talk about jail for a second. Law of attraction in jail. A lot of people are in jail. I'll start with a story that a friend of mine gave me. He had life in prison. He was he was a big dope boy. He got caught, and he ended up getting life in prison, in federal prison. And he ended up getting it reduced to 25 years, and then finally getting it reduced to 15 years. He ended up doing about 13 years. Which he was young when he went in. 13 years, nobody wants to do prison for 13 years, but he was able to get out. He didn't spend the rest of his life in prison. Got out as a free man again. He was still young, blah, blah, blah. Went on with his life. But I asked him a question, that was very impactful. I said, say, man, I said, when them people gave you life in prison, I said, what was you thinking when he gave that? And the answer he gave me was so powerful, because even though I don't think he understood the rules of the law of attraction, he was definitely exemplifying it. And that is another thing. People utilize the law of attraction whether they know they're doing it or not. But he said in such a convincing way, he said, I never saw myself doing the rest of my life in prison. I never saw myself doing that. So that's the first thing that you have to do, is you have to start visualizing yourself as being free. A lot of these people, they have convinced you, if you're in prison for selling drugs or something like that, that you did something that is worthy of doing 30, 40 years in prison, and that's just not true. You were, and there's also this judge that said everybody's in prison is there voluntarily, and people have interpreted that in many different ways, but I'm going to give you another interpretation that you may want to take into consideration. You have accepted the fact that you are guilty. You've accepted that fact. All right? That is something that you're going, and that's one of the things why at SPC University I've been trying to reveal the true nature of the judicial system, so it can help people's mindset change. If they have this mindset that they think they are deserving to be where they're at. Can't help them if they just spend all their time in front of a television, just bidding in front of a television or on the phone every day, calling people on the street. But for those of you who are actively, burning with a desire to remove yourself, that's the first thing that you have to do, and you have to be positive. One of the things that I've also seen, I've been experimenting with all of this. This is done through experimentation, is that I always notice that when I catch myself, when I respond negatively to something, and I catch myself and I say, you know what, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. Or if I lose something, I said, it'll turn up. I just have this way of, I started being positive with everything, and it's just amazing. Everything, it's almost like the universe is throwing a little test at you. I remember Napoleon Hill in his book, and And I got some of Napoleon Hill's books here, and I'm going to suggest one of the ones I'm reading right now is The Master, the Key to Riches. This is an excellent book. There's a chapter in here that is talking about marriage and wives, and I'm sure you've heard that behind every successful man is a woman. And this gives Carnegie gives one of the best, I think, advice on, marriage and wife, the duties of a wife and the duties of a husband, what your jobs are. It's real good. I'll read that to you in a little while. Say Woman Behind the Scenes. There's a chapter in there, Woman Behind the Scenes. But the name of the book is The Master Keys to Riches by Napoleon Hill. Another good one, How to Own Your Mind, and Napoleon Hill's Golden Rules, and Napoleon Hill's Positive Action. And these are real good books. These are real good books. They basically, though, I'm gonna tell you, all the books though are basically telling you the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're reading The Master Key by Charles Hannah, if you're reading The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, if you are reading, I got this new book, it's How I Made $1 Million Using the Law of Attraction. It's probably one of the best books that I've read because of the simplicity that is put inside of it. But you're probably going to come across a lot of books and keep reading books and keep reading books, and you're always going to have this feeling that something is missing, that there's some answer that is out there in another book that I'm unable to find. And I'm here to tell you, you've already had the answers. You can read The Master Key and Think and Grow Rich and The Science of Getting Rich, and those are all the books you really need. Even, as a matter of fact, in The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles tells you don't read nothing else. He said just read this book. But those books are all telling you the same basic principles though. They teach you the same basic principles. How basically to charge your subconscious mind. Okay, and how you charge your subconscious mind is first that you have to identify what you want, and then through the process of repetition, you have to imprint that on your subconscious mind. All right, and it's one of the rules of mastery. There's 4 stages. There's unconscious incompetence, and then there's unconscious competence, and then there's conscious competence, and there's unconscious competence. All right, and those are the 4 stages of mastery. And unconscious competence is basically you're at a level where you just don't know that you just don't know. You probably don't know the laws. You don't know how to apply them. You never heard of this. You're just operating just on a normal basis. You have your own ideas of what thoughts are. You have your own ideas of what God is. You probably think from the outside in, meaning that outside circumstances affect internal conditions. You're not aware that internal conditions are govern outside circumstances. You probably have that thought pattern. So then later, as you start coming across some information, you get to a level of what is called unconscious competence, where you begin to begin to study the information. I'm sorry, competent unconsciousness, unconscious competence. I think it's unconscious incompetence, unconscious incompetence, incompetence, unconsciousness, I think is the next one. But anyway, what it is you're at a level where you found out the information, but you haven't been able to imprint it on your subconscious mind. And then you get your conscious competence, where you are actively doing the repetitions, you know the information, you're striving to do it. And then the level of mastery is unconscious competence, where you don't have to think about it. It's fully imprinted in the subconscious mind, kind of like how a piano player plays. A piano player plays the piano. When he gets to the point playing the piano, he played the piano and held a conversation and played the piano because it's been fully integrated into the subconscious mind. So you have to come up with some sort of affirmation that's going to assist you with that. Now, the affirmation that I suggest people utilize is something that they create of their own, based off of the defects in their character first and foremost. No man attains a level of success until he starts addressing the defects in his character. And this is why you have to know thyself until thyself be true. So one of the first things that you have to do is sit down and be honest with yourself and identify the defects in your character. And your character is a result of your habits. that you have on a daily basis, whatever habits that you have. All your habits together, compose together, create. Come here. Come here. Just getting in? Come here. My daughter, y'all. She just got in. You just got in, didn't you? My lovely daughter. Yeah, she got a little popsicle. How you doing? You have a good time? She's over her friend's house. Over her friend's house today. That's good. Go in there. Alright, I'll come in there later and talk to you, okay? Alright. But you have to have, you have to go through the stages of mastering and impress this on the subconscious mind. Okay, your subconscious mind is the key to all of this, and the elimination of negativity, because whatever negative thoughts you carry into the subconscious mind are going to manifest. This is one of the main reasons why you have to eliminate all negativity. You got to get rid of all negativity. All negativity has to go. All negativity, and that means that you're going to have to address your character. All right, so sit down, make a list of all your character flaws, whether you're impatient, whether you get angered easily, jealous, envious, whatever. Write those down on a piece of paper, and then we're going to use one of the 7 principles, which is the principle of polarity, because everything in life has a polar opposite. There are 2 sides to everything. So the negative characteristics have a positive side to them. And so that's why first you have to be real with yourself to identify the defects in your character in order to correct them. And then that is how you draft your affirmation, because the only way to get rid of a habit is to replace it. Okay, because that's another rule of the universe. The universe abhors a vacuum. There's no such thing as empty space. All right, everything, when something gets taken out of something, something rushes in to replace it. So there's no such thing as empty space. And that's also the reason why there's no such thing as something for nothing, because it goes against the law of the universe. The universe abhors empty space. So there's no such thing as something for nothing. It don't exist. You always have to give something in exchange of equal weight. And if you don't, then something's going to be taken from you of equal value of what you took. And that's the law of karma. Of karma. Okay? Because karma is directly related to the universe abhors a vacuum, the scales of justice, all these things. All right, so with your character, and dealing with your character, the first thing you're going to do is start to look into, and identify the defects in your character. Write up an affirmation and start repeating that at least for 3 weeks straight. In the morning, noon, and afternoon, as many times as you can. All right, and then also you want to incorporate in there, whatever it is you desire. I'm whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Every minute of every day, millions of dollars flows to me now, instantly, effortlessly, naturally now. That's one of my favorite ones. That thing works. Every minute of every day, millions of dollars flows to me now, instantly, effortlessly, naturally now. Because it's think and grow rich. It's not work hard and grow rich. That's another thing you got to get out of your mind. But those are the things that you got to start doing, because of the coming storm of what's happening. These people are keeping your mind wrapped in negativity. That's why one of the best things you can do is stop looking at the news. Just stop looking at the news. I think we give the news too much attention. Stop looking at the news. The news is nothing but negative. The news will have you thinking that the world is a shit place, when if you've ever done what I've done and driven across the United States of America, the United States of America is a very, very, very beautiful place. I had a old wealthy white woman tell me one time, I told her about my plans to travel the world, and she said, well, before you travel the world, make sure you travel all over the United States. It's beautiful too. And I've done it, and I have to say she was 100% correct. And I got a couple other places I have to go here in the United States, but make sure that you see the United States too also. All right, this is not a shit place. It's a very beautiful world that we live in, but you're looking at everything on the news media, and it's feeding your mind. You're thinking about disease and death and, degradation and poverty and war. There's nothing on there positive that is conducive to having an abundant lifestyle. Everything is about lack, limitation, hatred, and you got to watch what you feed your mind. You also have to be very careful of the music that you listen to. I know when I was younger, I used to, listen to people say, well, the music doesn't have a negative effect. It's just entertainment, and people have an ability to decide, what actions they're going to take. And I found that that's not true. Anything that you listen to over and over and over again is going to program you. And that's why you see, I heard a very wise man say that you can listen, look at a person, type of music they are, and see what kind of person you are. People, drug addicts and gangsters, they like to listen to music. Drug addict and my gangsters. Thoughts listen to thought music, and and so forth. You just see that because they're programmed, they're feeding their mind that. So you got to get to a point where you're not going to feed your mind. You're going to have to decide, just like what you feed your body physically, you're going to have to decide what you feed your mind as well. So you got to start, and them hurts are absolutely correct. There's a guy on YouTube who has a very good video, and he was breaking down the vibrational frequencies of rap versus classical music. And our classical music increases the intelligence because of the vibratory frequencies. It was very, very interesting. It's a brother doing it too. Increases your intelligence. So, you got to start doing things like that. Positivity, just positivity. Keep things, I might listen to some, I got a system in my car. So I drive my car. I don't listen to too much rap all the time, things. I listen to different music. I try to keep abreast of the new music because, I like to stay current in what's happening. I don't like to disconnect myself. But, some I just can't listen to for too long. But I try to also always listen to, and in my case, it's a lot of old school music. Music that's going to make me happy, that's going to give me a good feeling, that generates good memories in my mind of happy times. And, so you want to keep your vibration up at all times. Keep your vibration at a high level, at a positive level, and quickly identify when some sort of negative circumstance begins to encroach into your space, whether it be from your significant other. I get up and leave, that's what I'm doing right now. I see an argument brewing. First thing I do is get up and leave. No need to get into an argument because it's going to have some sort of direct effect on your prosperity. Another thing about keeping the house clean, which is a big pet peeve of mine, keep your surroundings in an orderly fashion. You can tell a lot about a person. If their car is dirty, usually their house is dirty. Make sure that everything in your space, make up your bed every morning when you wake up. Have about order. Have you ever noticed how wealthy people, get on the internet and look at some of these $1 million homes. Do you see any of them where they're not orderly? The closet, you get in the closet, all the shoes arranged nicely and the clothes arranged nicely. If you want to have that type of lifestyle, then you got to start practicing that right now. You can't wait until you achieve that to get it. It has to be something that you incorporate right now. All right. So all that, we got to start working on your mindset. And once you start doing that, that's going to translate over into your processes, like with your status, because a lot of people concentrate on paperwork and they're not really, their mindset isn't what they're putting on paper. You want to be private, but they say be private. You want to conduct your affairs privately is really what it is. Hey, can you close that door, please? He was in there doing something. Anyway, when you want to conduct your affairs privately, all right. So you're saying, I want to be private. All right. Well, we're dealing in a commercial world, so we're talking about transactions. And you have public transactions and you have private transactions. So you're learning to conduct your affairs privately. All right, privately is what you're doing. It's not, and then sometimes it's not going to be a private transaction, and you maybe have a private entity that has to interface with the public, or maybe you have to engage and create some sort of transaction that's going to create some sort of tax liability. And you may learn how to mitigate that, but it doesn't mean that you're not. So people say, I'm going to be private. You know, it's like, no, you got to learn how to conduct your business privately, and then also learn how to maintain privacy. And one of the best ways that I have found that you can learn to do that is learn how to be an administrator of a trust. Learn how to administrate trust. It's going to teach you a lot of different things about how to maintain privacy. You know, you got to start getting into the habit of that too. Stop giving out information. You know, when you go into the grocery store, people ask you questions. Can I get your phone number? Can I get your, and with the phone number, that is convenient. You know, you can pull up, you need to do a exchange on merchandise, get another number or something. Make sure your cell phones aren't in your name. None of my cell phones in my name, nothing like that. They should all be in your business name. You know, all your cell phones should be in your business name. None of that stuff should be in your name. All right. But when you're giving out information, make sure it's for the business. That's what you want to promote in the public. Is the business. You know, you want to keep your personal affairs to yourself. But this mindset thing that I'm talking about, how it translates over into the secured party, is that now it's teaching you how to have a mindset, how to train your mind to start thinking in a certain way. And stop just thinking that, I'm going to fill out some paperwork. Because I think that's one of the primary issues where people are having so many problems. You hear people say, well, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'm going to tell you the truth. When I first got into this, I had just got out of jail, and I was like floating on air. I was free. I battled. I, got myself out of a situation, and I kind of thought I was invincible, and for a short time, I believed that I could do anything and it would work. And it was working. The first time, and I forgot exactly, I think I was getting a car. The first time I started to doubt myself. That's when things didn't work the way it was normally working. And I knew that's what it was. And that's the challenge. The challenge of it is that you're dealing with fear. Fear is a big factor. You got to get over your fear. You're not totally free until you have eliminated all fear. All fear and doubt. You're not free until you've eliminated fear and doubt. Fear and doubt are shackles. And you got to get those off of you. And a free mind can only be freed once it really and truly understands how the laws work, and once there is a realization that the laws were put in place for your benefit. All right, once you understand that. And and it's like a muscle. I think the best way I can explain it is like a muscle. When you first start out, your belief system is at a very low level. So you have to start with things that are in the bounds of your belief. So you start talking about, I want $1 million. You may, there's another voice inside your mind say, well, you can't do that, man. Look around you. Look where you live. You ain't got no job. You ain't got no car. You ain't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? How you going to sit here and talk about you going to get $1 million? All right, well, start with something that you can, believe in. Say, hey, I'm going to get $500 this week. And then once you start doing that consistently, as you do your exercises, you're going to start seeing that that's going to start happening consistently. And then once it starts happening consistently, you uptick it. So, okay, I'm going to get $1,000. Then once you do that, uptick it at $2,000, uptick it, $4,000, uptick it, $6,000. Keep upticking. No different than when you lifting weights in a gym. You start with small weights, and then you build it up as your strength begins to increase. So, but these are all mental exercises that you have to start engaging in, and you have to read. You got to read, man. You ain't gonna get away from reading. I'm sorry. That's not happening. Everybody who's successful reads at least 2 books a week. That's why I did this video with the books behind me. I read books. I'm always reading books. I read something every day. I read something about secured party every day. I'm reading something about money every day. I'm reading something about trust. Not a lot. I might read a page or 2. I'm not trying to kill myself and read a whole book in one sitting. I might read a chapter, and then later on read another chapter. But keep the constant feeding of the mind. Okay, the constant feeding of the mind is what you're looking at. And it begins to supercharge the mind and magnetize the mind. And then it begins to draw to you the things that you're looking for and the things that you desire in your life. There's been some argument about should you ask for something specifically or should you ask for something generally. And there's various opinions about that, both of which seem very valid, because you could ask for something to think that's going to make you happy, and then find out later on it's not going to make you happy. So then, it's this thing that comes up. Do you want the Mercedes Benz, or do you want a car that's going to bring you the most joy? Say, bring me a car that's going to bring me the most joy. And then I'll say, no, bring me a Mercedes. You see what I'm saying? Because it may be something out there bigger than a Mercedes Benz, or whatever, you don't know, it's going to bring you the most joy. You don't know. And in the infinite wisdom of the universal intelligence would understand and would know you better than you know yourself, what would, bring you the joy that you're looking for. So that's something that, also that's out there that people are, having a discussion about. How do I, do I ask for something specific, or do I ask for something general? I would suggest that you start out with general, and then you start building the muscle, because a lot of people, their mental muscles are weak as far as attraction goes, because they're not in the habit of training their subconscious mind. I've been doing it ever since I was in my 20s, because I've been studying this information ever since I was about 22. And, I've been doing it. One of the things I used to do was in the shower, because the water was hitting me. The shower was one place I could really, really seem to meditate and really, really focus on what it is I do. Also, there's some power in water. There's a magic in water. Anybody, another book that everybody should read is, got it in here? I do. The True Power of Water is one. Masaru Emoto, and he also wrote one called Messages from Water. It's a good one too. This liver and gallbladder cleanse. I got a nice little health section. And you want to get this book too. I got to talk about this. Y'all probably never heard of the Monroe Institute. This is Robert Monroe. He Far Journeys. This book right here talks about out-of-body experiences. I had an out-of-body experience one time. It changed my life. It made me really understand that the body is like a suit. It's like a suit. Once your consciousness can exist apart from your body, and you see the process. It was a weird process how I came out. My body was real loud. It reminded me of the scene in The Matrix, the first movie, when Neo was first released. He washed out that canister out the Matrix, and that sound it was making, and it was going down the drain. It looked like it was going down the drain. I mean, it was almost exactly like that. It was exactly like, it was a loud ringing sound though. And he was the only person I'd seen that actually talked about it. I had this one book that actually talked about that, this ringing noise that occurs. But water is definitely magical. Do not discount the power of water. When you pray over water, or like I got holy water. Holy water is real. It's a real thing. We start studying the magical properties of water. Okay, and include that in your diet as well. And for you men out there, this is one of the biggest ones that I'm going to tell you. Because, a lot of people talk about law of attraction, but they don't tell you how to supercharge your mind. And that is for you to conserve your sperm. You got to understand that you have to start allowing your sperm to accumulate. There is a magic in the accumulation of sperm. Okay, sperm is an elixir. And once you start allowing, that's why we are the ones that's supposed to be making money, not women. That's why you only have about 3 or 4 women on the billionaire list. And 70% of them are Jews, because in their culture, it is against their religion to masturbate or do anything. They're taught these principles about the power of sperm and so forth, and we're not being taught it. So one of the things that you have to do, you have to get a book out there. There's a book out there called As Long As You Want, As Much As You Want, by Dr. Charles Runnels is his name, Dr. Charles Runnels. Anytime you want, as long as you want. I would suggest that you get that book and start reading it. There are a couple of other books out there too. There's a book by Patrick Beverly, who he was one of the founders of one of the Rosicrucian temples here in the United States, and it's called what is it called? A book for all young men or something to that effect. But what the book is about the dangers of onism. I think it's what it's pronounced, which is masturbation, and how it is killing your magical properties. One of the things that that was really interesting in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, is, I think it was chapter 9, 10, or 1, is the sexual transmutation, and he discusses that, the preservation of the sperm in order to obtain wealth. There's a video on YouTube, no fat, practiced by celebrities who practice no fat. Pull that up on YouTube, and you'll see that all of them, 50 Cent, Steve Jobs, all of them were utilizing this technique. And one of the things that Napoleon Hill said in his book, that the majority of men don't become successful until after 40, because it's not until after that time that you begin to regulate your sexual activity. As when you're younger, you have a tendency, and that's what you're being taught in all of your videos. You're taught, bust one, bust, I did this, I bust, and they want you doing that because you're killing yourself spiritually. I think there's also Proverbs 31:3. It says, "Give not thy strength to women, or that which can destroy kings." And strength in that sense is being interpreted as your sperm. It's not saying don't be around women or anything. It's your spiritual energy that you have to start conserving and maintaining and utilizing and redirecting that. It travels up the spine into the brain and supercharges the brain. Now, these things that I'm saying, you're going to have to experiment with it. One of the things I like about the book, that How I Made $1 Million Using the Law of Attraction, and he made a very good point, is he said, it didn't start working to me until I started actually doing the things that they were saying in the book. But you keep reading the book and you don't do the exercises, you don't practice it, and then you want to turn around and say that it doesn't work. Okay, but it works if you practice it, because it's like even with the sexual thing, I see somebody say bust, bust, bust. But that's what you're being taught. That's what they put it in all your music. They put it in there, but they know that it's weakening you. It's weakening you. The ideas. You ever wonder about the ideas that you can't have? Like, how I came up with Uber. How did this person come up with, the smartphone? How these ideas, these people coming up with these ideas? And the thing is there is an Akashic record that's at a very high vibration. And I've heard it stated very good in esoteric books, is the angels don't come down to you. You have to go up to the angels. You have to vibrate up to their level. They're not coming down to your level, because your level, cleanliness, is next to godliness. And when you're down at this low state, that's a very, very, unclean state that you're in when you're vibrating at a low level. So you have to raise your vibrational frequency up to that level, and you start receiving these ideas. That's where they're operating at. So you have to raise your vibrational frequency to the level where you can start receiving, because that's what angel means, messenger. It means, like the book of Malachi, the last book of the Bible, it means messenger, because that's an Arabic word or a Hebrew word, malik, for angel. Something is my angel, it means my messenger. That's what it means. So when you start seeing these messages, even Jesus Christ in the Bible, before he went on his mission, he had to fast for 40 days. And during that whole time, he was tempted by the devil. But once he got past all the temptation, which is happening while you're doing the fast, all that whispering in your ear, all right, once that's completed, he said, then the angels came and ministered to him. Then the angels came and ministered to him. So you have to understand these things that I'm trying to tell you. I'm giving y'all now some of the esoteric things that other people don't discuss with you about how to bring wealth into your life. It's not just about, I just write it down and say it every day. A little bit more involved in that, even though that is a good start, getting your mindset right. But there's a mental, spiritual, and physical component to everything, and you have to develop all three simultaneously. So with that, that's my little message for today. I just kind of wanted to just drop a bug in your ear. I get a lot of people who have questions about certain things, dealing with trust, what am I going to do, and things like that. And my message to you is that you can do whatever it is you want to do. The power is in your hands. You have the power over all things. But you have to really sincerely understand and believe that. When I say peace to the gods, I mean that. You are a god or a goddess in your own right. But you got to start utilizing your power. You got to understand how to use your power and be responsible with your power. These people are distracting you. Okay, health, wealth, and happiness. Health is a byproduct of eating and doing the right things. It ain't none. These people, they can't, these die, ain't no, think about this for a second. Do you think you were created without the ability to heal yourself? The body heals itself. But there's nothing available in a natural state that the creator of the boundless universe, who's more infinitely wise than anything in creation, wouldn't provide you on this planet. Something in a natural state that can heal you, that you have to resort to some sort of sorcery, because that's all a pharmaceutical is. They cooking something up in a cauldron and then putting it in a needle and injecting some foreign substance in your body, telling you that it is mandatory that you accept this, that this is the only way you can be healed from this malady, is to take what we tell you to take. Think about that, you know, and a lot of people aren't thinking like that, because, and here's another part, I got to put this in, you got to watch what you eat. I've experimented with food. Please don't come at me telling me about meat. People think, look, I heard the best explanation about why you can eat meat every day and it don't make you sick, because of the mucus that's lining. It creates a lot of mucus that lines and coats the intestinal walls. And only when you start to get the mucus out of your body, like when you stop eating meat, you go back and try to eat it, you'll notice it makes you sick, makes you tired or something like that, because now it's in a clean environment, and now you can gauge what it's really doing to the body. You can't gauge what meat is doing to the body if you've been eating meat every single day of your life and you've never had some sort of period where you took a break from it. It's only when you have some sort of cessation in ingesting meat that you begin to see the adverse effects that it's having on you, in particular on your mental state. So, you know, all these things, you know, that you're going to have to start disciplining yourself if you want to start to achieve some sort of level of success, no matter what it is that you're looking for. What we got right here says, my question was, how does one remain true to oneself, circumstance, situations, and at the same time believe in the need he cannot see? But I believe you answered the question. I don't want to be true to yourself. Well, I mean, the first thing, I think the answer to that question, if I'm understanding it correctly, the first thing is that you have to understand the laws. Okay? Your belief and faith is increased with your commensurate understanding of how the laws operate. So once you understand that inward conditions dictate outside circumstances and not the other way around, because that sounds like what you're saying. You're looking at your outward conditions and they're dictating how you feel. When that shouldn't dictate how you feel, you should be in control of how you feel. And then once you get control of that, then outside circumstances will get to morph and change. This is why you're a God. This is why you're a creator. All right? You're a creator. All right? You are creating the situation. The situation is not creating you. But the only way to fool a God, the only way to defeat a God is to make him think he's not one. To give y'all some sort of religion where they put some invisible God up in the cloud somewhere. And then once you have been thoroughly convinced that that God is up in a cloud walking around with some sandals on, with a billowing white robe, with a long white beard, all right, and looking at you, now they can begin to change how he looks and make him into a white person or a Chinese person or however they want. All right, make this God look the way they want you to look at him. And then now you start feeding into that. Now you believe that you have to petition something outside of yourself to receive some sort of blessing. When the creator of the boundless universe, this ultimate source, this all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-present entity created laws. The laws are what was the blessing for you. Because once he gave you the laws and you bring yourself into harmony with him, there's nothing shall be impossible for you. As Jesus said in the book of Matthew, he said, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can tell this mountain to go cast itself into the sea. And as long as you don't doubt it in your heart, but believe the things that you have said as if they have happened. Now that's a very key part in Mark 11:22 through 26, and also in Matthew chapter 15, where he begins to discuss, casting this mountain into the ocean. The important part that people miss also is now time. This is why everything has to be in the present. There is no past. There is no future. Those are illusory. The only thing that exists is the eternal now. And that is how the universe operates. The universe, you created this concept of the future and the past. The universe doesn't think in those terms. Everything in the universe is in the now, in the present. Right? And you have to be in the present. And the only reason that you are emotionally affected is because you're thinking in the future or you're thinking in the past. That's the only reason that's causing you to be unhappy. You have to polarize yourself in the present, in the now, in now time. The great I am is what you have to be. I am this. I am that. You have to be that which you wish to become. Good question. What is this right here? Lord God said, behold, the man has become like one of us. You don't want to start doing that. What I would tell people to do, for all the people watching this and you're some sort of doubter, or maybe you have some very strong Christian belief, is first of all, I tell people to research this word God. Because that's not how it was originally written in the Bible. Okay, it wasn't written that way. All right. There are many different words they've interpreted as God or Lord. Adonai, El-Elo, Elyon, El, Eloah, Elohim, El. You know, a lot of different words. Right, been translated as the word God. When you get into the original translation, like in Psalms 82:6 and John 10:34, and you'll have people tell you, well, that's a small G God or a big G God. Well, what they fail to tell you is that in Hebrew and Arabic, there are no capital letters. That distinction, when you look in the Hebrew, it's the very same word. The word they use calling you a God, the word there in Exodus 7:1, when God tells you, I'm going to make you a God to Moses, it's the same word. He said, I'm going to make you Elohim too. I'm going to make you one of us. Like it says in Genesis 3:22. I'm going to make you one of us. You go to Pharaoh. You one of us. And that's one of the things and the message I want to get out, because they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that you're one of the Elohim. Not everybody, obviously, because this message is not going to resonate with everyone. You do have mortals down here. Everybody's not from the same stock. If we were all the different blood types, all right? They're different blood types, you know. So everybody's not from the same stock. Everybody's not going to have the same genetic makeup and is going to be able to accept their responsibility of being in control of their own life. They're going to wallow in self-pity and doubt and victimhood and continually blame other people for their situation, which is one of the reasons why socialism, communism, and Marxism, that ain't nothing but satanic. You see who created Karl Marx, a Zionist Jew, all right? Satanic. I know the blasphemy of those who call themselves Jews who are not. They're the synagogues of Satan. What was that in Revelations, was it chapter 10? It's in Revelation 9. I know the blasphemy of those who call themselves Jews who are not. They're the synagogues of Satan in St. John chapter 8. I want you to think about that. And then always Charles Darwin telling you that you came from monkeys and shit. You know, he talking to the Goyim. He's not talking to his people. He talking to the Goyim. You know, y'all Goyim are animals. Y'all, you know, y'all evolved from monkeys. You know, and people believe this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're telling you this because they try to convince you in your mind, all right, that you're not who you are. All right? The only way to defeat a God is to convince him he's not one. That's the only way, because how are you going to beat a God? If somebody's a God, how are you going to beat him? He's a God or something. You can't. So that's why the great deceiver, you've been deceived into another paradigm, and he who controls the paradigm is God. So if you're following somebody else's paradigm, you know, you got to stop and ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself this question. What would your concept of God be if you were just born here and there wasn't no people around you to tell you, give you this thought of what God is? What if the planet got wiped out? You just was brought up on a world, wasn't no other people around, just you and your woman, maybe a couple other people or something like that. Nobody ever came and told you about three different religions or anything like that. How do you think you would have developed, and what would have been your concept of creation? And let's say that you're an intelligent person, but where would you have gotten your concepts from? What if you were left to your own devices and you experimented with things and then you began to discover things on your own? And your belief system had never been tampered with. Hell, we may have been able to fly because we could have just believed we could fly. You know, it's just like, yeah, why are you flying? I don't know. It's just, that's what we do, you know? So think about that. I would not think there was a God. It says exactly what you're saying now. He says, are you ever planning on doing a video on the different blood types? I've asked because I'm O-RH negative. What is O-RH negative? I ain't heard that. RH negative, there's one of the blood types that has the same blood type. The rhesus monkey has an RH negative blood type. You know, I don't know much about those different blood types, but I know it's just a simple question that you ask yourself. If we all came from the same two people, then why do you got all these different blood types? It's something for you to think about. There's a painting. Exactly. You're giving your own intellect no credit. Exactly. You know, that's one of the things I learned in college. I remember I was in class and we were studying, and I was in there with all these military guys, and they had jobs in the field that we were studying. I think we were in an A+ certification class, and we were doing we were studying we were doing networking, computer networking. And we were studying a chapter. We were doing a group study session, and all the guys, they said, we were getting ready for a test, and they said, this is the answer. And I'm the only one that went against them. I said, no, that's not the answer, bro. The answer is this right here. Everybody in our study group went against me and said I was wrong. Next day, we're reviewing the questions, and everybody got it wrong, including me, because I went with the group. And as the teacher, they teach us, sit in class and review the test with you, what we got wrong. And everybody got this wrong. Before he could say anything, I raised my hand. I said, Professor, I wanted to put this particular answer. Before he gave me the answer or anything, I told him what the answer that I wanted was. And I said, I went with the group and they wanted this right here, but I think it was really this answer right here. And he said, you're correct. That right there, I swore to myself that I would trust my own intelligence. And the same thing with these gurus out here. You know, you're going to get a lot of gurus who are going to be, oh, it's this, and it's that. And when you're first starting off, you're going to listen to a lot of gurus. I was doing that. But at some point, you're going to have to start to depend on your own research. You're going to have to depend on your own research. You know, you got these gurus and everything. They're good. Everybody got a little bit of knowledge or something that they can contribute. But at some point, you have to make your own contribution. And that's going to require that you do your own research. You got to do your own research. Because you could be listening to somebody who's not as smart as you. And y'all some very intelligent people out there. There could be a guru out there that you following, and you'll discover that he's not as smart as you. That you're going behind him, investigating what he's telling you, and now you're seeing that this is not what this is talking about. This is not what this is talking about. It's not talking about that. How did you interpret it this way? That's what it's going to... And I'm not saying that excludes me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it. Had that exact same experience. You was only one with correct answer just in 2019. Yep. Let's see. Facts. There are other initiates here on the earth from other worlds. Hence, other blood types. Hence, hybrids, mixed bloodlines for their survival. That's true. There are extraterrestrials here, man. Extraterrestrials here. Extraterrestrial. An angel is an extraterrestrial, if you want to put it bluntly. But people think that that's far-fetched. What's amazing to me is people can see a boundless universe, trillions of stars in the sky, all which represent solar systems with planets revolving around them. And they have the audacity and the unmitigated gall to believe that they are the only people in the universe. And then some of these people have never even been out of their city or traveled anywhere. It's incredible. I just got through watching the movie Paul last night. Paul, by the way, means little one. Okay, that's why they call the movie Paul, because he's a little extraterrestrial. He's great. So they call the movie Paul. I would highly suggest y'all watch that. It's a comedy. It's very funny. It's a very good movie, but there's a lesson in there to teach you too, especially for the religious minded. I believe that the earth, The reason they don't want y'all to understand about extraterrestrial life because it will destroy religion. Because now there are a lot of questions that have to be addressed. Who created them? And if they're older civilization, why did God create them first? In the beginning there, because that kills all that in the beginning. God made man, like we was the only first ones created. I believe that the earth is a melting pot of different races, of humanoid, extraterrestrial races, to send their deplorables to elevate our consciousness. I've heard that same thing too, that earth is like a prison system and they keep us, quarantined because of the negativity. It's a training ground for you to discipline yourself and raise yourself and elevate yourself, which makes a lot of sense to me, because if you're going to have a training ground, you got to be put in some place where there's going to be a lot of adversity that you're going to have to contend with. So I think that is a very plausible belief. I would feel lonely if I thought there was no one else. You're never alone. That's true. Good movie. Natural law is universal no matter what world you're from. That's absolutely correct. It's universal. That's why it's very important for you to understand free will. It's a universal principle. Doesn't matter where they're coming from. The only people can engage on your free will is if you give them permission. Another movie, very good movie that you should watch is Let Me In. It's a vampire movie. They made two. I think they got a French version and an English version. The English version is good. It was good. Man, that was a good movie. That's a good movie. Let Me In. The stars created religion. They did. I watched that movie. They Live. Great movie. Thank you. It is. They Live is a very, very good movie. Rodney Piper was in it. They are quoted as saying it wasn't a movie, it was a documentary. And that's why I posted it on SBC University, because I want people to start paying attention and start opening themselves up to the fact that a lot of these public servants, the reason that they don't seem to care about you, the reason that they're trying to poison you is that they may not even be human. You're going to have to start, there are lots of people trying to warn you about this, and it sounds crazy, but when you really look at these people, look at these people, man, they when you really start to rationalize and think this thing that's going on right now doesn't make sense. But somebody said there's people dying, and then they're suppressing all of it. They're suppressing information and everything. It's just, you have to start asking yourself the hard questions. One of the people I would suggest, Arizona Wilder, on YouTube. I downloaded her. I'm putting her on my SBC University. Watch that entire interview with her and David Icke, where she describes how the royal family are reptilians. We get into some discussions about adrenochrome, where they have to terrify children and the adrenaline goes into the blood. She was telling y'all this, I think the interview happened in the 90s or something, in the 80s or the 90s. Long time ago, and she was saying that's what they were doing. They were terrorizing people before they would eat them, right? But she said they had some drug in them, but they needed to terrorize them first. Same thing, Arizona Wilder. What's my man? Donald Marshall, all right? He says that, he's with the elite. Tila, whatever her name is. Tila, y'all know who she is. She has a video on there, and she's talking about the reptilians. And y'all don't even know about it. She did a radio show, all right? And she was telling, and Donald Marshall talks about it, told her to shut up. This reptilian came out and told her to shut up. So these people are talking about off-world entities that exist. You go back in history, Zeta Reticuli, Sirius A and Sirius B, the Dogia, the ugly water beings of the Dogon tribes of Mali, they discuss them. The Hopi Native Americans discuss them. All these dragon images all over the planet. I was out in Hawaii. I started looking at their statues of their gods differently. Because a lot of you, you kind of think that you're more intelligent than people was 10,000 years ago now, but you can't create a pyramid. You don't even know how they made all these structures, how mathematically precise and exact all these structures are. But somehow, some way, you have the audacity to believe that you're more intelligent. And with all these beautiful architectural constructions that they created, all the mathematics, all the laws, everything, organizations of civilization and everything, and all of a sudden when it came down to their religion, all of a sudden they ignorant brutes, and that's some sort of mythology. you have to kind of look at yourself in the mirror and sometimes think about what you're saying. Because some of the things that you think about are ridiculous. And a lot of people don't want to give credence to it because a lot of those ancient civilizations are black. Trust me on that. The Nagas. Yeah, Tila Tequila. Go and watch. She got a hunt on YouTube for her radio broadcast. It's real choppy, but she's talking about what they doing to people. She's talking. When you first came aware of it, she's just telling on them. And then she just made another video where she's explaining it. And Donald Marshall, he's talking about it. And Arizona Wilder, she's talking about it. And there's a Oprah Winfrey interview where they're talking about it. It's real old when Oprah Winfrey very first came out. Jewish woman discussed child sacrifice. I downloaded it. Download all these things. Get it's a program called 4K Downloader. 4K Downloader. Help you download videos very easily off the internet. Very, very easily. It's a free software. Google it right now. 4K, the number 4 and K, download it and use it. It's very easy. It makes downloading videos off YouTube and Snap. You can even download music. You know what I mean? Like if it's a video with music, you can leave the video off and just have the music, the MP3, and it'll pull that off for you. So make sure you check that out because they're trying to scrape the internet of a lot of things, and you got to begin to start to preserve some of this stuff. Phil Schneider on the aliens and the underground of the tall aliens. Yeah, Phil Schneider, he lost, I think, some of his fingers, and he gives a very, very in-depth, first-hand take on what happened to him when they went underground and encountered some of these alien creatures. You also, Admiral Byrd, on his trip to the North Pole, you want to start investigating that, the Inner Earth, Agartha, and Shambhala. All these things you need. There's a guy, his name is Baron Trump. He has a book. Get on Google and look for it, Baron Trump and his adventures to the inner world. And you know Donald Trump's son is named Baron Trump, which is really, really interesting. He has a genius IQ, sort of like this individual in this book. But it's Baron Trump talking about going to the inner earth. Trying to see if I got it in here. Might be on my other bookshelf. Oh, here it is right here. Came right. Here's it right here. Baron Trump's. Right there. There's the book right there. Marvelous Underground Journey. All right. It's for all you flat earth people. There's people out there that's living, got memoirs of things that they've travels and so forth. But, good book. He says the Mel Gibson movie, bro, about the Rothschilds. I just heard Mel Gibson came out with a new movie. You know, Mel Gibson, they blackballed him for telling the truth. He said he was telling who ran Hollywood and all that. Funny how analog tech is what gonna help us. I think that is some truth too. They killed Phil. They killed Phil Schneider. They killed a man who wrote Behold a Pale Horse, William Cooper. A lot of them ended up dead, man. They was out here telling y'all the truth. A lot of those people from the 90s era who were putting out a lot of information was coming out in the 90s. It seemed like it was more information coming out when we didn't have the internet than when we got the internet. They scraping in. It's a lot of information on the internet. Google only gives you about 10% of what's on the internet. Always remember that. They used to have a switch that you could switch, and you go into your settings on Google that allow you to get everything because they got blockers on it, and you could remove those blockers on there. But I think they had changed the settings. The old Google you could do that, and the new one you can't. But all my professors, they told us early on that Google only get about 10%. Now they call it the dark web because Google took over and y'all on social media. So the other part of the internet is all of a sudden the dark web. Where in the 90s, when I've been on the internet since it first came out, that was all just the internet. You could find a lot of information back then. A lot of information. To me, a lot more powerful and hard information than what you find now. But you got to get off Google and maybe go to DuckDuckGo or something like that. Use some alternative search engine and go into the deep web because you're not going to get it on Google. Google is scraping. They're trying to keep you in a state of ignorance. Google is only good if you try to do some business. y'all on social media or something like that. Social media to me is for doing business. Google and all that is not really for, learning too much. Even though a lot of people do put information on there to help you go look. But if you want to really just do your own research and hunting for things, use go to what they call the dark web. Be careful. You will run across some things that are, like make your stomach turn, because it is out there on the web. I would never work fully. Tor, yeah, Onion, DuckDuckGo, yeah, Tor browser, definitely Tor browser. Almost forgot about Tor browser. Tor browser, Tor browser, definitely something you want to get at. How do we get out of something? You get out of something. A thing is unbound the way it is bound. That's the maxim of law. A thing is unbound the way it is bound. So you get out of something the same way you got into it. See how you just know principles? You can answer a question just by knowing principles. Do you have any suggestions about what? The guy created the earth flat with a firmament. Okay. All right. I need to book your time, King. Well, I got so many. I don't know why y'all want to. That's fine. I know why y'all want to talk to. My Cash App. That's the only place I'm taking consultations. Put in my Cash App is $Yusuf L19, and just put just $200 per hour. Put your phone number in the notes, and I'll give you a call. I'll text you. Proton Mail is compromised. Yeah, they used to have, it wasn't Proton Mail, it was Hush Mail. I think Hush Mail is still around, Hushmail.com. There were some guys who claimed they could find your CUSIP number for your birth certificate. And I think the email is CUSIPnumbers@Hushmail.com. Just in case, see if those guys are still around, just email them. CUSIP numbers, all one word, at Hushmail.com. CUSIP numbers with an S at Hushmail.com. Email those guys and see if they can get your CUSIP number for your birth certificate. It's at Hushmail. My consults have always been, for the last couple of years, $200 per hour. Yeah, I'm juicing right now. I got my skin looking good. That weight, man, I'm older now, man. It's hard for coming. Even when you're juicing, it's just hard for that weight to just coming off. Man, losing weight. Yes, I'm juicing. I'm juicing every day. I just did some carrot juice, carrots, apples, ginger, oranges, tangerines, and pineapple. One little slice of pineapple. Web search engine, but you already answered it. It's not hard. It ain't hard. What I mean when it's hard was not hard. It just seemed like your body be like, it's not like when I was younger. I appreciate it. I'm under 300 pounds. I dropped all the way down to 270. I gained some back. That lost like 35 pounds. Yeah, I'm around like 285 right now. That's true. Somebody says it's only hard because you say it is. What I mean by that is I'm saying that it's like when you older you get, it's not like when you were younger. Right? Just drop off when you're younger. You start getting older, it's like you got to be very, very strict on everything that you're doing. Extremely strict. I'm 6'3". What's your video posted on IG about vaccines? He said that video you posted on IG about vaccines is valid. I know it is. These people out here, man, they out here telling y'all about all this stuff. Tell you about all of it. These people out here telling you about those vax. Watch that video. It's a lot of them. Go to my BitChute. Go to high frequency radio, BitChute, and put in high frequency radio. And start looking, all over BitChute. When you go to BitChute, you're not going to find, You know, they done banned all these people trying to warn y'all off of the mainstream social media. I'm surprised, you know, they still, I guess, trying to do it on Instagram, but I think they just getting tired because there's so many people talking about it now. They about to lose the fight because you got just tons of people out here discussing this subject, and they trying to prevent people from talking about it, and you can't. Just doesn't make any sense. You gotta go to the farmer's market. You start going to the farmer's market, you'll find a lot of good foods that got seeds in them, like watermelon with seeds. I go to the farmer's market. Whenever I start getting, you know, when I'm like, this week I'm gonna do a heavy juice, just nothing but juice, and I go straight to the farmer's market. How you gonna hold elected officials accountable? Stop talking about all that bullshit. It said, man, the vaccine is all but exposed. Only people watching Main Street still buy that bullshit. I know that's right. That is so true right there, what he just said. And I just, man, I ain't a trip. You're like, man, y'all don't see this, what these people are doing? Straight up. But anyway, y'all, that's it for me today. I just want to drop a couple of jewels on you. I appreciate all the support. We have class tomorrow, 9 p.m., 9 to 11. Check out my YouTube page, High Frequency Radio. I do got a new YouTube page. Go over there. I'm dropping videos over there as well. I ain't been doing too much on Facebook. You know, Facebook ain't kind of pissed me off and everything. But, you know, YouTube and Instagram, y'all catch me here. Anyway, peace to the gods. I'll see y'all on the next live stream. Peace.